What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and today we're going to get back in the XFL news. We've got some good stuff for you today. If you're a first-time viewer, thanks for coming out, thanks for watching. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back and watching more videos. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. All right, let's not waste any more time. We got a lot of content to get into. All right, so this past week, we found out that the XFL has a new company that they're working with to get all of the data collected together that's going to be working on the stats for them. And yeah, that's right. They've signed with Champion Data, and I think that this is a really good thing for the league. It shows that the league is putting its best foot forward and really looking towards the future, because the fact of the matter is that you really need to keep track of your history. We know that just from a historical standpoint, that being able to really have all of the data and collect the data is a big thing, and it's a huge thing. And to have kind of all of the information put together in one place, that's really it. I mean, granted, this is not like historical data of all of the times and governmental information and what happened here and there, but it still is historical, and it's still that a neat thing to track and to have all this information and to have a company that is specifically there to track your data and to look into your data and to take care of your data for you, I think is a huge thing. Not only is it great from a standpoint of that they're not doing it internally, but also, it's a neat thing to have that now we've got this outside entity that's dealing with all of the stats. And so I'm just wondering if they're setting something up for, something on, the gambling side of things, if they're going to be looking to add that element into it. I know that with the AAF, the Vegas was really interested in them and this app that they were trying to put together that never really came to fruition. And I'm wondering, with getting with Champion Data, if the XFL is going to be moving forward with that type of aspect. And I don't mean about creating some app where they're going to be able to live, bet and all this stuff, but just the fact of the matter of being able to have the stats there and have the information there that we can readily grab, hopefully, and that it isn't hard to find things. Because the fact of the matter is if you try to find information on the AAF, it's kind of hard to find the stats and information on players and things of that nature. So to have a specific company out there that is doing that's looking into that data, I think is huge. And then taking them and then possibly partnering, not partnering, or just working with, with Vegas in that type of an aspect to do that and bring gambling to the XFL, I think it's going to be a huge thing. And another factor of it, being something that's going to succeed, for the league to succeed. So I see this as a huge thing for the league, and definitely something that they're thinking towards the future. Again, it really goes to show you that they are thinking ahead and that they're putting things in place to succeed, and that they're just not going out there and just doing things, that they've been setting things up and that they're getting it together. And so this deal that they have with Champion is a huge thing to me. On paper, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you get down to it, the fact of the matter is that in today's day and age, we take stats, we take information for granted. It's readily at at our fingertips, our phones. Boom! I mean, within seconds, we've got all of this data and this information, and that has to come from somewhere, and somebody has to take care of that. And so, to have them doing that, and to have them working on the back end of this, and especially working with creating the API and looking at this information, I think that's a big deal, and I think it's going to really help out those people who are wanting to work with the XFL and wanting, to, whether it be, news outlets or things to get information and to really, really go out there and put that information on the XFL and really talk about the XFL and do that and report on the XFL, I think is a really big thing, and it's a huge thing. And so I'm actually really excited and really encouraged by this. And again, it's not anything that's flashy, but on paper, it's huge. All right, let's go ahead and let's move on to our next thing. So it was interesting. Oliver Luck sat down with the president of the Seattle Dragons, and they kind of had this interview thing, and it was kind of the normal thing that you're used to. He's been doing a lot of interviews, and so a lot of it's kind of that regurgitation of information. A lot of it's the same stuff, but we got some tidbits that I was really kind of interested by, and there was a couple things, and the first thing that really intrigued me was the fact that they were talking to Mike Riley, before he became the offensive coordinator in Seattle, that they were talking to him about a head coaching job. And I think they really liked the way, again, I've already talked about Seattle and what I think about Seattle with the coaching staff. And I'll put a card up here for you guys if you want to check out that video. But when I look at it, it's really interesting that they were considering him for a head coaching position. And I think if the league really does well in the first, 2 seasons, possibly 3 seasons, that if they do decide to expand, and do something of that nature, I think that Mike Riley will be one of those guys that they'll be looking to, go ahead and pick up. And I think he did a really, really good job there in the AAF with San Antonio Commanders. And so I really, really thought that was a neat thing. With them talking about that. But the thing that really intrigued me the most is that the XFL has been still in contact with a lot of these practice squad guys. And the thing that Oliver Luck said is that a lot of the NFL practice squad guys are guys who are quite honestly want to play in our league. And once their season is over, they'll migrate to us. We're not quite sure how many of those guys we may end up getting, but we're excited about that. And he's talking about the player pool expanding in January. So these guys would be coming right off of practice squads and moving into the XFL teams. And so I don't know if they might have another draft in January, or if these are guys that they're going to be drafting, coming up and that have put their names in the pool, but they're on practice squads. We talked about the guys that are currently on the teams that are on practice squads, but were already drafted. And so now we can go ahead and we can talk about maybe that some of these guys will be in this supplemental draft coming up. I don't know, but it is pretty interesting. Another piece of news that we had that's kind of piggybacks off of this is we found out that the XFL on Tuesday is going to be holding a press conference in Houston, and they're going to be announcing some things. And, they was talking about their training camp stuff and putting information out about that. And, and the Houston executive staff is going to be there and all of that, to where that'll be interesting to I'll definitely be looking at that, and hopefully, depending upon when the information comes out, possibly get a video up on Tuesday night, kind of giving you guys the information of what's going on, kind of my thoughts with it. But I think that this is huge, and this is something that I think that really goes to show that guys are wanting to play, and that the XFL is willing to work with guys. And that says a lot to me. And I'm really curious now and interested to see how this kind of moves forward here, because I really feel like the XFL is really trying to figure out the best way that they can to get the most talent on the field for their season. And I think that that's really huge. And they're trying to take it and do it in such a way that the teams are, that it's competitive, and and that, you know, all of the teams get an equal opportunity. So I really like the fact of them having, you know, a supplemental draft and then possibly maybe another one. I don't know. Who knows how they'll handle that with these players, or like I said, if these players might be actually in the supplemental draft that we're getting on the 22nd, and that they might be, you know, then moving to, you know, and really they're just coming into the teams when they hit training camp in January, which, you know, is an interesting fact to me. And I thought that was a really neat thing. Well, all right, guys, those are my thoughts. The question is what do you think? What do you think about all this stuff with the XFL using champion data to do all of their stats for them, and, you know, to do all of their kind of live stats and their, you know, their data API? And what do you think about the NFL players who are on practice squads who are wanting to play in the XFL and might join teams in January? I'd love to hear your comments down in the comment section. And remember to give me your also your video ideas. I love getting those video ideas from you guys. You know, it's great information and it's great stuff. And remember, if you guys have some good stuff down in the comment section, I'll definitely go ahead and I'll feature you. All right. Well, I know that you guys are busy. I know that I'm busy. So let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.